Hello everyone, Don with Resolute Outdoors here. Today I want to take a moment to go over my philosophy on medical kits. Now, I don't have any formal training, any formal medical training or anything like that, or any background in it, but I do have a kind of a unique philosophy that I haven't seen anyone talk about on this topic, and I wanted to kind of bring it to everyone's attention of what I do, why it works for me, and kind of what this option brings to the table as compared to doing things like I've seen other people do online. And the big thing for me is that I keep my medical kits kind of in three different components. So what I'm going to call it, the three components is like a basic first aid kit. So something like one of these three kits here, a trauma or a bleeding control kit, and then an accessory kit. Now, the basic first aid kit is going to be basically anything that you need, that's anything you need for any sort of medical issue that doesn't require immediate assistance. So if no one's going to die within 5 minutes of an event occurring or something happening, it would fall into one of these kind of kits where you have time to access it, where maybe after a long term without having any treatment, it will be an issue, but immediately it will not be an issue. The second component obviously is a trauma and bleeding control kit. This is for things that are immediate, that you need immediately. You need access to medical equipment where someone will bleed out or they'll die, or seconds or minutes count. This is the bare minimum by Refuge Medical, just in case anyone's curious. And then the third component is the accessory kit. Now this has kind of like mission specific gear where these are things that you don't want to carry around all the time, but if you have certain people or you're doing certain tasks, this might be useful for you, and I'll delve into that a little bit later. But the big reason I keep all these separate is kind of twofold. One is for accessibility. So if I'm going on a backpacking trip or somewhere where I'm going to be, out, and I want to have a medical kit and I want to have basic first aid with me, but also a trauma kit capability with a bag or something like that, this can go in my bag. I can put this in the bottom of my pack. If I don't get to it quickly, it doesn't make a lick of difference. Where this would be something you'd want to put on the outside of your backpack or on a belt, because if you don't get to this immediately, someone could die. So having these separate gives you speed with a trauma kit, so you don't have to worry about digging through your pack to get the whole kit where it's all combined. And then second, if you need something out of here, you're not digging through all your trauma equipment and damaging it. This can stay kind of put together, and you really kind of like break glass in case of emergency type deal. It doesn't need to be in with everything else potentially getting damaged. Also, you might not want all these things at one time. So for instance, like this is a basic first aid kit that stays in my vehicle or at home. It's a bigger kit that has more capability, that's not as mobile. If I'm going to the shooting range, going to a flat range or something like that, this can stay in my car, but this will come with me. Because I don't need a basic first aid kit with me when I'm going to a flat range or somewhere, like skeet shooting or something like that, because I can go back to my car and get it. So I don't need to waste time carrying these around. I just need a trauma kit in case something happens with a firearm or something like that. Or if you're chopping wood in the backyard or running a chainsaw, you're going to want something like this on you, where you're not going to want something like this all the time because you don't need it. You can just go into your house if you have an issue like that. So kind of keeping these separate gives you options where you might not want to take one, or you might want to take both of them. So I can see there could be times where potentially you say, listen, I want to just take a basic first aid kit for going to trauma kit, just have something super light like this, and maybe carry a tourniquet. You have to make that decision, but you have that options when things are separate. Kind of the last component here is the accessory kit. So this is like for anything, like I said, anything that kind of doesn't fall into one of these two categories, where this is like mission specific. So for instance, this one's set up for like infants and children. So this is medicine in here that's specific just to those kind of people. So I don't need to keep it with a normal first aid kit. This is just going to add bulk to these kits whenever I might not need those. But if I'm going somewhere where I know there's going to be someone who could utilize this, for instance, it's going to come with me. So maybe these three kits go together. But if I'm going to be a place where there's not going to be an infant or a child, or it's going to be a setup where that person isn't going, I'm going to peel this away. Because if not, if these are all lumped together, you have to carry all this, even though you're never going to use this. Conversely, this isn't just for infants or children like that. You could use this for anything. So I could think of options where, if you're a caregiver for an elderly person, Maybe you want to have, extra antidiarrheal tablets or hemorrhoid cream or whatever medication is specific to that person. Maybe they have some extra just in case they forget. You can have something like that. And here, maybe you're going on a really long multi-day hike and you're going to be miles away from cell phone service or your car, and you want to upscale your basic first aid kit and your trauma kit with splints or something like that, or athletic tape, so in case you get a sprain or a break or something like that, you can get back to your car. Or maybe you put a satellite phone in here or something like that if you need that. But this is kind of the mission specific gear that kind of goes along for whatever you're doing. And when these are separate, these other kits don't become outdated. So there's not a point where like, oh, I'm not taking care of that elderly person anymore. I need to go pull all the stuff out specific to them out of this kit. No, you just drop this kit out, put it in storage, and then you just have these two. And maybe you have another need for something else, some other kind of like accessory kit. You make that kit and then you put it back in here. Then you have those capabilities. Now, like I said, on these basic first aid kits, there is different levels of capability. Obviously, this isn't going to have the same capability as this, but those are for non-immediately life-threatening things. So that's kind of just my basic idea and how I look at medical kits. I kind of would like to know your thoughts down below. It's just kind of a way that works better for me, where you can have what you need where you need it, and you don't have too little or too much. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is Dawn with Resolute Outdoors. Till next time, see ya.